Pursuing the Long Count, Episode 11. Now, today I'm going to be going through 4 pages of What We Know for Sure, the section at the end of the comic book. If you're now joining me, you can go back through my playlist and you can watch the whole series go through. This isn't actually part of the comic. These are the comics section. This is the data section, which I wanted to include because it's important for me to share what is actually true and then the fictional stuff that I kind of mashed into the facts. So, how do we actually know how the ancient Maya spoke? Right here is a copy of an original Maya document that archaeologists call the Dresden Codex. It is named after the German city it wound up in after being saved from destruction during the Spanish colonization of Yucatan. We have 2 people to thank, we can call it thank, for preserving Mayan writing. The first is Friar Diego de Landa, who collected dozens of codices, which were books. A codex in general is just a book. It's just a book. So these were books of Maya sacred works written on pages of thin bark. And the second is a Russian soldier named, just a fair warning in advance for all these names and words. I don't know how to pronounce them. The Russian soldier named Yuri Konorosov, who 100 years later identified the glyphs as combinations of sounds and ideas. Down here, you can't see it very clearly, is a page from Landa's Report of Things in Yucatan, in which we also find this statement. This is I'll just read this. These people used certain letters with which they wrote in their books about ancient subjects. We found many books written with these letters, and since they held nothing which was not falsehood and the work of the evil one, we burned them all. That was a rueful laugh, not a mirthful laugh. And these right here are actual attempts to decode the glyphs as letters. So keep in mind, these Western Europeans are looking at all these little doodads and scribbles as individual letters in an alphabet, as if they were decoding someone else's Western European alphabet. Like ours is a letter makes up a word makes up a sentence, which carries meaning. The sentence makes up a paragraph, which develops the meaning. That's how they thought these were organized, and that's what he was trying to do. Thank goodness other people thought differently. I'll read this. We would be remiss if we didn't mention Alfonso Caso y Andrade, who discovered several ancient sites, developed chronologies for them, and deciphered texts. And we're indeed remiss for not mentioning all the other people who have contributed their knowledge of the Maya. But let's start with these 3 names. And I have to say, early on, there was no discipline of archaeology. There's no discipline of linguistics. It's just people who were interested and contributed their thoughts to this, to discovering who these people were. So it's ongoing. We haven't deciphered all of this yet. I hope if one thing happens from reading this comic book and listening to me read it to you, is that you go and look at it and try to figure it out for yourself and contribute to this body of knowledge. All right, so we've talked about the language. We're going to talk about the calendar. A few years ago, many people believed that the whole world was due to end in December 2012. This was due to a misinterpretation of the Maya long count calendar, which was linear instead of cyclical like ours. The mistake is understandable considering how complex the actual counting system was, not to mention all the obscure cultural allusions contained in the calendar itself. All the experts agree that the world has not ended and that the calendar was not intended to predict apocalypses. It simply identified days within a great cycle, which was approximately 5,128 days, or years, solar years. This is a drawing of a long count date. So this itself is a date. All these little drawings add up to record a specific day reckoned from a day at the end of the last great cycle. Okay? And these little glyphs contribute. They use these glyphs to sort of assemble this date, to allude to cultural things, sounds, and ideas. I won't get into that because I don't even know it very well myself. I'm fascinated by it. I love looking at these little symbols. Yeah, to no end. So this is a page from the Mixtec Codex Cospi. Mixtec Codex, the Cospi, which was named after somebody, which was written somewhere between 1350 and 1500 CE, or AD, however you see it. It contains a ritual calendar and a detailed survey of the movements of Venus. Venus is very important to this story because we keep talking about Omaha. So Venus is also known as Quetzalcoatl, the young maize god, and Teal'c, god of rain, but was not mistaken for Omaha, who was generally believed to be the god of death. So they saw the morning god and the evening god as two separate objects in the sky. We know it as one planet, but that's not how they saw it. And this little thing right here, which I would love to have expanded out and talked about it in depth, is the Maya counting system. And this is vigesimal. Vigesimal means 20. It's counting in units of 20 as contrasted to our decimal, deci meaning 10, system of counting in tens. They also used a zero, that right there, as a placeholder so they could perform complex calculations with vast quantities. This was a very important invention, and it's sort of the point of this whole story, discovering what zero is. They began using this little shell glyph as a local value between 300 and 600 CE. Local value is what we mean by saying if you put the shell here, it means it's 10. If you put the shell here, it means 100. So it's local. It's a value. Its locality, its location determines the value. That's very important, as we will see here. A brief and selective survey of humankind's counting systems. So the principle of local value was used by the Babylonians much earlier than the Hindus. Let's see here. Where's the Babylonians? Where'd they go? I can't find them here just yet. The Maya were using the local value and symbols for zero before the Hindu use of zero, which can be dated as early as 600 CE. 620 CE. However, it appears that we inherited our set of numerals from the Hindu Arabic system. The dates listed below are approximations of when each culture's system was beginning to be developed. So, I just wanted a survey of when counting systems were being developed. Here is the Hindu Arabic system, starting around 976 CE. That's a pretty specific date for being around. But these are just little tables I copied from various books and sources, which I've listed somewhere. I have a nice bibliography somewhere in this collection that you can use to look for all this stuff. You can also use the internet, which you are using right now to view this video. There's the Babylonians. We're just going to look at it here. 2000 BCE 3000 BCE, 1500 BCE. So around this time period was when humans started developing counting systems. The Inca and the Greek were around the same time too. The Inca Quipu knot system is so interesting. This is something that I'd love to investigate more deeply, maybe in the next comic. So these were a little later, not so much later. Well, actually, this one was CE. This was 1,000 years CE. This one was 1,000 years BCE. So within 2,000 years of each other. And I found this little diagram very interesting. Sort of the development of numbers, the way we see them, and this is something you can investigate yourself. That's very interesting. Okay, last page I'm going to look at today is a picture, a comparison of pyramids from around the world and the dates that they were built. So this step pyramid, which is near Jian, China, it's called the Tomb of the General, was built early in the 1st century CE. So this is, it's near Jian, China, but it was built by the Korean Gokuryo kingdom. So 1st century CE. This one's around 2600 BCE for the Pharaoh Djoser. These two are step pyramids. This is a kind of a pyramid. It's kind of pyramid-y in shape. It's just a big building made of blocks that are like that. This massive ziggurat was originally built around 2200 BCE by Ur-Nammu. He ruled the portion of Mesopotamia called Ur, which is located in southeastern Iraq. In fact, here's a little factoid for you. It received its most recent remodel by Saddam Hussein, but was damaged in 1981 during the First Gulf War. Another interesting fact is that it is located within a half mile of a spot called the House of Abraham, which is where the biblical Abraham began his journey to Canaan. Down here on this bottom section are 3 pictures of Mayan pyramids. They're tiny and blurry, and it's not a great picture, but this one was not very well excavated. It just looks like a mound. It's the pyramid, the temple pyramid dedicated to Kinich Yaks Kukmo. I don't know how to pronounce these things. I'm sorry. Who was the founder of one of Copan's classic era dynasties. It's located in the main group and is built in several phases starting in 5th century CE. This one was built in the 7th CE, and this one was built in 7th CE. This is in Tikal, and this is Palenque. But they all have similar sort of step pyramid shapes, and they all have that staircase going up. Well, not all of them. We don't know what this one has. But I just wanted to include this as a comparison. I don't want to get into theories about how ideas transmit across the world. I don't know. I don't know if they transmit. Maybe we all just developed them all at the same time because that's how we are. I don't know. That's not the point of this comic book or the point of this. This is just a survey of what we know for sure. So I will cover the last couple pages next week, and then we'll start the 3rd issue of Rain God Returns. I hope you return to see it. Thank you.